All right, we got ourselves a jump from user subscribe to Sam, and let's have a look. hmm Yep, get off the ground pretty well, but definitely blocking out with that left hand. Let's just take another look, full speed. Okay, yeah. So keep an eye on your left hand after takeoff. So after you take off, you hit it, you keep pushing all the way through with that left hand, and that's what's preventing you from getting upside down. Okay, so let's see. So let's look at where you're getting off the ground. It looked pretty good. Foot comes down underneath you. That's pretty good. You're hitting the pole. You're a little under, but I mean not terrible. You could see the pole bending before you get off the ground, which means you're just a shade under, but it's really not bad. Like it's okay. Like that's acceptable. I mean, I personally would like to see you backed up like 6 inches, but that's just me. Maybe something to think about in the future. But you're up off the ground really well. Like your arm position, your head and chest are driving that way. Like you're smashing the pole. Like it looks good. Okay, so this is all good. The hips are getting pulled under a little bit, but not bad. But the problem is when you start to swing, you're continuing. Sorry, my microphone cut out. When you're starting to swing, you're continuing to push into the pole, and that should not be happening. So you're continuing to push, 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 push. You're actually hinging from the shoulders here, which is okay. I mean, it should be better, but you stop yourself from going dry because what you want to do right now is take your right hand to your right hip and drive your hips up and back that way, and that's not happening. You're leaving pressure into this left hand into the pole, and so you just kind of stay in this like L position here because your hips have nowhere to go. Like they're running into both of your hands. So the pole is recoiling. You're not in position to catch any of the energy, and you're just kind of going like whoop, like that. So what do we do about this? Let's run it back. Please. Controls. While you do this. Okay. Okay. Great off the ground. And when you start to swing, here's what you want to do. So the work with the left hand at this point going that way. So this is all good. Let me compliment you here. If I can run my video back, what is going on? So when you do this, this is all great, man. Bang. Really good. Lots of pressure on the pole the right way. You're hitting it, boom, like that. Really good. However, when you start to swing, you leave it there. So what you should be doing instead of leaving this hand pressure this way at this point, like that, instead both of your hands should be going that way, especially your top hand. Okay? So this top hand is what creates the anchor point and puts pressure on the plug that's in the box, right? And we want that to be as high up the pole as possible as you can afford to grip. So a couple things happen. Um, when you take this hand, you can use both, but I want you to think mostly about this hand. When you take your hand and you go that way with it down the pole, when you start to swing, it does two things. It creates a hinge point right here, which is going to help you hinge from the shoulders. Because the first section of your swing, if you look at it, it's all from the hips. So just like watch the angle of your hips and then watch the angle of your shoulders, and your hips are the only angle that are changing. Ideally, we want your there to be a hinge point at your shoulders as well. That's going to help get your hips in position later on. So when you put pressure down this way with your hand, you're going to hinge from your shoulders more, and you're going to continue to keep pressure on the pole towards the box. That's going to keep the pole bent for longer because the pole starts to leave you. Watch your hand. Okay, watch your hand. That's a big circle. What is this? So watch your hand. So it's traveling in, and then right there it starts to go upwards, and it's gone like that. So now you're playing catch up. Okay, so you're in a position where the pole is leaving you, and you're trying to drive your hips up and back faster than the pole is accelerating away from you, and that's a very hard thing to do. So what we want to see is when you're swinging, is pressure comes off of this left hand going this way. This top hand starts bearing most of the weight and you bring it that way. You start hinging from the shoulders now instead of later. When you get to this position where the pole is bent as much as it is, instead of your hips being about shoulder level, your hips are going to be like here and your shoulders are going to be like here. In order for that to happen, this elbow needs to break. So don't pull this way. You just need to relax that left hand a little bit and let the elbow bend a little so that you can bring your right hand to your right hip, bring this to your cheek that way, and drive upwards and back like that, and then go up instead of just kind of flopping around the top of the pole. But you got a lot of good stuff going for you, man. Like you're running pretty well. I mean, we could talk about that too. Like there's a little something going on with your run. Um, I might as well since I just brought it up. Your arms are just kind of pumping back and forth here, and that's a bit of a problem. Because what that does is that changes your center of gravity rapidly forwards and then backwards and then forwards and then backwards. So your feet have to hit in different places on the ground relative to where you are in order to stay balanced. So ideally, you want to keep your hands a little tighter to your body, and move your hands right to left, or flapping the elbows or something like that. I'm not really the best with pole run mechanics. That's an area I could get better at as a coach. But your steps are consistent. You hit it real hard. And this is going to work out for you, man. You're going to be fine. You just have to keep pressure down the pole when you swing with your top hand, and you just got to break this left elbow when you do that. And then um, once you do that, and your hips are in a better position, think about driving your hips up and back that way, bringing your right hand to your right hip like that. I hope that makes sense. All right, man. Good luck. Let me know what you think.